Hi, I'm Tim and this is Timberway Designs. In this series of videos I take 10 beach rocks that I find on public beaches and I bring them home and I cut them in half to see what the inside looks like, and we can both see that at the same time. And then I'll take one half and I'll make a cabochon out of. Now a cabochon is a non-faceted gem cut. It's just got a smooth dome, and some of these rocks I'm pretty fussy when I pick them up, and some of them look really cool on the inside. Some of them don't, you know, we get a dud every once in a while, but that's just the way it goes. So I got 10 rocks here, and I'm gonna take the camera, we're gonna whip it around, and then we're gonna look at each rock and talk about it for a minute or two, and then I'm gonna take all these rocks downstairs on my lapidary saw, and we're gonna cut them in half and see what they look like on the inside. So let's take a look at these rocks here. All right, let's see what we got here. These are the 10 rocks. These are all from the South Shore of Lake Superior on the Wisconsin and Michigan. They get kind of mixed up after a while, but they're pretty much from the same area. So we'll take a look at this one here first. It's got some green in it, and it's got some, looks like it's some basalt stuck to it. So I guess you could call this an amygdaloidal, but man, it had some awesome patterns in it. Look at that. And then it was kind of stuck there, but the green is awesome in this. So, and we got another amygdaloidal rhyolite with prehnite. This is all prehnite, this greenish, whitish stuff here. So let's get this white. A lot of times this prehnite, when you cut it open, there's a little flecks of copper in there, so I'm hoping that'll be in there. All right, this one here. This one here, another amygdaloidal, but it looks like it had different colors of jasper in it. Because you got some brown here, you got some green there. We'll get it wet. Look at it. I'm kind of hoping it's all dispersed through the rock. But yeah, look at that. I mean, it's not a lot, but, and then again, you never know what's inside these things. It's a piece of unakite. You know how much I like to pick this up. And yeah, that's got a lot of pits and stuff in it, but usually those are always on the outside. I don't see them on the inside, but you know, I could be wrong, but generally not. So we should get a good cut out of that. This is another amygdaloidal, I believe. The quartz. And I thought, I probably picked that up thinking it was an agate because I saw this stuff here. But I'm thinking that's going to be interesting on the inside as well. This is a piece of gneiss. And let's see why I picked it up. Because a lot of times you can't tell when they're dry like this. That's why I like looking for the rocks in the surf break. Yeah, it had some yellow going on. Looks like a little pink there. Some black. So it'll be interesting to see what's in this rock here. A piece of red jasper with some quartz running through it. And it's kind of got pits and crevices and stuff, but I'm hoping I can get a clean cut if I cut it through the center. Man, these things are just loud red. It's like you see this laying amongst the rocks on the beach, and you're like, whoa, got to pick that up if it's not too banged up. And I think we got another piece of gneiss here. Or is it a porphyry? Looks like a porphyry, but I'll know for sure when I cut it in half. I'm probably leaning towards a gneiss now. But I think that'll have a cool pattern in it. This here, I've been picking these up lately. I think they're jaspers, but not, you know, obviously not a red jasper. Oh, it looks like it's got some red jasper going through there. I thought, you know, it's got some nice patterns and stuff. Might make a nice cabochon. And then I think we got ourselves another chunk of unakite. Let's get it wet. Look at it. Yep, unakite. So I see some swirls, nice orange feldspar there. That ought to make a interesting piece of jewelry too, I think. So there are the 10 rocks for episode 25. And I'm going to take these downstairs and we're going to cut them in half or cut a piece off them and check them out. Okay, we're down here on my 10-inch high-tech saw here, and the first thing I want to do is show you, this is a continuous rim sintered diamond blade here, and I'm rubbing my hand on it right now, and my thumb here, and it's not sharp. It don't even cut the glove. So these are not sharp like a knife. These are grinding wheels, and it uses thousands of tiny diamonds to cut the rock. And the other thing, every time I do a batch here, I take this grinding wheel. This is just a inexpensive coarse grinding wheel I bought at a big box store. And I usually run it through the blade 3 times, and it kind of exposes more diamonds so I can get good cut. And usually it works pretty good for 10 rocks, no problem. So let's get going here. About 3 times is all you really need. Got this one here. I think I'm going to split it right down the center. Okay, first rock, episode 25. Let's see what we got here. Some interesting pattern going on in there. Okay, yeah. Got this microloidal rhyolite. Trying to think how I'd cut this. You know, I think I'm gonna cut it right down the middle, because then I'll come back and I'll take the slab off either side here. Okay, let's see what we got here. See. That's what I kind of worry, because a lot of times all the good stuff is on the outside of the rock for some reason. Every once in a while, come on, focus. It goes in the inside, but I'll figure something out with this. You've got this little guy here. Got some awesome patterns on the outside. I'm just going to split it right down the middle. Okay, we got an awesome pattern on the outside. What does the pattern look like on the inside? Ooh, green. How about that? That is so interesting. I don't think it's nice. Wow. Okay. All right, this big one here. I think I'm gonna split it. I'm gonna split it right down the center here, and then I can go either way. That was over a 60-second cut right there. So there's the outside. Let's see what we got going on the inside. Ooh. A lot of interesting looking terrain in there. Okay. Alright, we got this one here. It's got this jasper green and brown on there. I'm just going to split it right down the middle. Alright, let's hope for some action on the inside. Alright, there we go. Okay, I can work with that. Interesting. Alright, got this piece of nice here. I'm thinking, I'm just going to cut, well, tell you what, I want to go cross grain, so I'm going to cut this end off here. Alright, see if it was worthwhile to make that cut. Oh, look at that. Black going all the way through it. That is awesome. And it's got some reddish, pinkish going on there. Cool, cool. Okay, I got this little piece of jasper here. And I think I'm going to cut it across this way, because I want, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to cut it across this way. Yeah, some bright red there. Let's see what we got. Okay. That's interesting. All right. This little nugget here. A little quartz going on. Let's see. I think I'm just going to split it right down the middle here. See what we got in here. Look at that. We're getting some pretty interesting rocks here. Okay. Piece of unakite. And I think I'm going to cut it just like this. See if we got a cool pattern going on in here. Okay. Got little epidote streaks. I like it. And then we got this one here, another piece of unakite. I'd like to incorporate this red. I'm going to cut it like this. That'll give me a chunk of this, well, red. It's this deep orange here. All right, let's see what we got. Okay. Good. And I can probably get that into the cab when I make the cab. All right. So I'm going to gather these rocks up, put them in the bag, take them upstairs, and we'll go over them a little more in detail. So we'll see you up there. Well, I think we had some really interesting cuts down there. There's already a couple I like, and I haven't even looked at them that close with just what we saw downstairs in the saw. So got a nice, cool looking bag of rocks here. I'm going to spread them out, and we're going to pull the camera around, and we're going to take a little closer look at them. So here are the rocks from episode 25 we just cut in half, and I'm not going to kid you, man. There's like 3 or 4 in here I really like so far. So we'll look at the big guy here first. Get the crumbs rinsed off and quit bumping my camera. So had some good looking patterns on the outside, and then it had this dark here. You know, I'm almost thinking that's basalt maybe, so this would make this an amygdaloidal. But yeah, it's got some very interesting patterns going on in the inside here. I think I'll take a slab off one side or the other, and then I think we can get a really cool looking cabochon out of that. Yeah, look at that. That is busy, busy, busy. All right, here is one of my favorites right now. This is a piece of gneiss, and a lot of times you'll see stuff on the outside like this, and usually it's on the outside, but in this case it is on the inside. Look at that, all the way through. That is so awesome. And then it's got some color too, which makes it even more interesting. So this, I think, is going to make a awesome cabochon. Although I won't be able to do this side here because it looks like the black don't go all the way through. But I'll cut a slab off this side here. Then we know the black goes all the way through. But I want this in the cabochon, this streak here. So, well, we'll figure something out. But look at that. That is so neat. Okay. You got this little piece of red jasper. I don't know if you'd call this a banded ironstone or not, because there's some layers, but I don't see any light dark layers. It's got some stuff going on in there. Now the fractures, so I can get it dry here without tipping my camera over. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. So those, well, yeah, there's one right there. That's an active fracture. We'll figure something out here. But it's got nice little quartz lines running through there. And I cut it this way because I wanted to have these lines running through it. Because if I cut it that way, I could get the lines running through it when I cab it. You know, when I round it off, you would see lines. But I left enough in case this don't work out. I can split this one in half, and then we'll go from there. It won't be the first time I've done that. But yeah, I thought that looked pretty neat. Okay, here is my second favorite one. Well, it's going to be fighting with this one here for sure. Look at the crazy pattern on the outside of this one here. Now, I thought this was nice, but I'm thinking it's something else now. Just don't have the texture. But look at that. Isn't that nuts? Nice green and feldspar and black. Wow. So my mind's just racing what would be the best shape for this. If you have an idea what, you know, if some of you folks out there can get together and consensus on a shape that would look really good into this, let me know in the comments below. I'm always open to suggestions. That is so cool. Oops. Okay, I had this one here. I thought it was a megaloidal, but I think it's something. I don't think it is. Just, I don't know. It's kind of looks like sandstone-ish type stuff, but it too has an awesome pattern on the inside. So I think we'll come up with something, try to incorporate some of this stuff here on the edges into the finished cab. Nice kind of orange, not, you know, I don't know. It's just, these rocks are cool. I'm quite impressed. Okay, we got a little piece of unakite here that had the orange in there. I kind of wanted to incorporate that into the design of the cab. Not a lot of epidote, but the orange kind of intrigued me, so I might take another chunk off of this one here, because by the time I make the cab, there isn't going to be nothing left, because this will be the back side of the cab and this will be the front side, the show side. So I might take another chunk off of that, see if I can do something with that. Yeah. All right, this one, megaloidal. And I'm pretty sure that is jasper. And then there's some green stuff there. And I believe that's jasper too, because it's kind of opaque. But it kind of runs through the rock. So if I can pick the right design, I should be able to incorporate that into the cabochon somehow. The brown for sure, because that penetrates good. The green is just kind of in splotches. So hopefully I'll get lucky and hit some of that. But yeah. Okay, got this a megaloidal here, rhyolite. And I was kind of hopeful that all this here penetrated the stone, and it's all on the outside, except for the tip top there. Actually, yeah, you can see copper. That's all copper right there, pure copper. Little flecks right there. So it's definitely pre-night or print-it. I don't know. I get to saying these words when I figure them out, and I just say them one way, and that's just the way I do it. So, and then it's got all kinds of little agate stuff going on the inside. So I think that'll make a pretty stone. I might do the same thing here. I might shave off a slab here and see if I can incorporate more of this into the cabochon. Yeah. So cool. Okay, got ourselves another chunk of unakite. Tim picks up a lot of unakite. You probably noticed that over all my videos here. This one had some pretty good going on pattern on the outside. A lot of epidote streaks and stuff. And they go on the inside too. Got some nice episode streaks going on in there. Yeah, those almost look like butterfly wings, don't they? Yeah. So I think that one's thick enough to cab, so we'll probably cab this one right here. Save this one for other projects. And then finally, got this little guy here. Usually I walk past this stuff because I don't think it's solid, but I've made a couple cabs out of it now, and this stuff is awesome. Look at the pattern in there. And I think that'll go all the way through. And it looks like there's little flecks of quartz and stuff in there. So I'm pretty sure that's red jasper, and the brown stuff's got to be jasper, and then there's a little quartz to boot, and lots of pattern. I'm always looking for interesting pattern. So, yeah. So these are the rocks we cut in half on episode 25. So on episode 26, I'll take a chunk out of each one of these rocks here, and we'll make a cabochon out of it and see how well I can represent these rocks further beyond just cutting them in half here. So you'll have to come back to episode 26 to see the cabochons I make out of these rocks. So now I'm going to I'll clear all this out of the way. And I got the cabochons from episode 24, another set of Wisconsin rocks. And there were some interesting ones in there too. And we'll lay out the rocks in the order I cut them, and then we'll show the cabochons 1 through 10. So stick around. So here are the rocks from episode 24. And I made cabochons out of them. So if you want to see these cut, you can go to episode 24 and see them being cut. So this first one here was a large unikite. And I didn't see a lot of green in it like I normally do. There's a blotch of epidote right there. Here's the cabochon I made out of it. A relatively good shine. A little undercutting, but I don't think that's a big factor there. Just a few dots of epidote. There's one there, one there, one there. So there's the back. Here's the front. Here is the original rock, and there is a cabochon I made out of it. Right, this one here I had high hopes for. I liked it because it had the circular, I think it's obticular or something like that, jasper, and then it had veins of hematite running through it. As you can see there, get it wet here. Stuff is really pretty. I think it is anyways. So here's the cabochon I made out of it. Got a really good shine. You can see the hematite, or hematite. I think that's how they say it. That's not how I say it. And then the jasper. There's the back. There's the front. Yeah, I think it made a nice little cabochon here. There is the rough rock and the cab. We had this piece of quartz, or epidote with quartz running through it, and this stuff was really pretty. And it had a kind of feathery look going on in there with the quartz and all. And here is the cabochon. Pretty interesting, I think. The shine was not the best. There's a lot of little, I call them micro fractures in there or whatever. But it's still pretty. And there's a couple real fractures right there. And I think I'll make some more out of this. But yeah, here's the back. Here's the front. Here's the original rock, and there's the cabochon I made out of it. This one here, I kind of called it the blah rock. There wasn't a lot of, there's some texture in there, but there wasn't a lot going on. Get half of it wet here. So that just kind of reminds you of the textures. Kind of, it was like little crystals stacked on top of each other. So here's the cabochon. Again, the shine's okay. There's some undercutting going on in there. You can kind of see the crystals in there, the epidote. So there's the back. There's the front. And then I had this was a bigger cab, but the end snapped off on me, so I had to back up and modify, and I just made it into an ellipse. So it was okay. So there's the rock, and there's the cabochon I made out of it. So here's the other jasper with the hematite in it. Get it wet here. Just kind of remind you of what it looked like. You can see the hematite running through there and little blobs of jasper. I don't think this is as pretty as the other one, but it still made an awesome looking cabochon. So there's the cabochon. Got nice blobs of hematite in there and it shined up pretty good. Cab. Here's the back. Here's the front. Now, if you folks notice out there, I do not polish the back of my cabs. I figured this is the side you're looking at. This is the side you're not looking at. So that's just the way I do it. Yeah, I like the hematite in there. Could be cool if they had a little more deeper red, but I'm not going to complain about this. It looks pretty good. So there is the original rock, and there is the cabochon I made out of it. Then we had this little stripy quartz guy here, which I think it's quartz and jasper. I thought it was a migdaloidal, but it was way too hard for that. It just kind of reminds, the quartz was kind of interesting, had some good pattern running through there. So here is the cabochon I made out of it. I thought that came out really good. Got some of the quartz pattern in the quartz, and got the stripe running through the middle of it. Yeah. Here's the back. Here's the front. Here's the original rock, and there is the cabochon I made out of it. Okay, I had a piece of argillite here. It had some stuff running through there, but you know, some dark lines, but not a lot. I mean, I think it was just enough. You know, it wasn't way over the top, and it wasn't too subtle. So that's kind of what it looked like on the inside. And here is the cabochon I made out of it. Now, this stuff don't shine, you know, like glass, but I can get a decent shine out of it. I thought it come out pretty good. We got a few of the lines in there. So there's the back. There's the front. Yeah, now I haven't quite decided how I'm going to orient this yet, so I'll have to think about that. Yeah, there's the cabochon, and there's the original rock. Another piece of unakite here. And this had some good running epidote veins through there. Get it wet here. So I thought that looked kind of nice, like that. Here is the cabochon I made out of it. It's got the veins running through there, like that. Got a good shine out of this one here. You can see that. Here's the back. Here's the front. And there is the original rock, if I can get it up there, and there is the cabochon I made out of it. Yeah, this other piece of epidote that was really unakite, that had a lot of epidote in it, but it had this crunchy center stripe running through there, so I kind of cut it off there. Well, here's the cabochon. Actually, it looks really good. A lot of green, just enough orange to keep the contrast up. So there's the front. There's the back. Yeah. There's the original rock, and there's the cabochon I made out of it. So here is the quartz. It had a lot of interesting stuff going on inside, but it also had a lot of pits and little inclusions in it. But it had an awesome pattern. You can see that all over the place there. So I tried to get around the pits and occlusion. I made this teardrop here, and I think I did a pretty good job. There's a few pits on that side there, but I think when you look at this from a distance, you're never going to see those. And I managed to get one of them stripes down the side of this thing. And I think it looked pretty good. Really good shine on it. Here's the back. Here's the front. Even got a little color, little golden color there running through the middle of it. So I think that worked out. So there's the original rock, and there is the cabochon I made out of it. So we'll move these up here and bring in the cabs. I can do it without spilling them all over the place. So there are the cabochons from episode 24. Yeah, 24. So all these will end up for sale on Etsy someday. I'm not making any guarantees right now. I'm so far behind on that. It's just sad. I'm missing out on a lot of opportunity here, but I'm doing the best I can. So those came out really good, really good. So there you go, episode 24 cabochons. So I think we got some really neat rocks here. We just cut in half downstairs and looked at them closely here. And I hope you like the cabochons I made from episode 24. Those Wisconsin rocks, you know, some of them you just can't be beaten. And there's, I told you which my favorites were. Let me know what your favorites are in the comments down below. And I guess I'd like to thank the subscribers out there. I appreciate you coming back and watching my content. It means a lot to me. And all the viewers out there, consider subscribing. If you haven't, you can go down below, click on the button, and it's free, don't cost nothing. And then you can slide over, give me a thumbs up, because that gets the analytics out there so more people can find this content. And then they got a little bell button that's supposed to let you know when my videos come out. And then there's a share button. You can share it on Facebook or whatever, platform you like to share on. And then they got this new thing called Hype on mobile devices. And you go down below the video and you just slide over and there's a Hype button. You push that and that kind of gets analytics out. I feel like I'm doing a commercial for YouTube here. So I appreciate you watching. I think I covered everything. Oh, and I'm going to put a video up here, one of my rock cutting videos if you want to go back. I think it's episode 5. That's the first video I showed cabochons in. And then YouTube will put a video right here. I don't know what they pick because I never go back and watch my content online once I post it. So thanks for coming back and watching. I really appreciate it. And that's all I got. And I'll catch you later.